to another episode of Houston Art Tribe. Actually, the first episode of the year 2020, which I just had to say because it feels so weird to say. I'm sitting here with Sherry Tseng Hill in her studio, and
hello.
Very happy to be here. I've just been admiring your work for so long.
Well, thank you, and vice versa.
Oh, I think when I first saw your work, it was your watercolors, and I was impressed. I thought this artist has such, has really comprehends watercolor and has that ability to do it, which amazes me, to do what you did, and I thought, okay, this is what this artist does, and she does it very well.
Watercolor was the medium that I chose to get back into art, because as a child I had done watercolor a lot, and so I took a big sabbatical, I guess, to raise a family and to practice architecture, and so there was no time for art. So I actually did art up through college, and then got married and had kids and stopped. It was like there was no time, and I always thought, once the kids are grown out of the house, I do art again. So that's what I did. And the medium that I got back into, that I felt most comfortable with, was watercolor. And I took a class, a workshop at Wash under Duncan Simmons and Keiko Yusuko, I think.
Okay.
And what they said that the very first day, like within the first 10 minutes, was, we're going to teach you how not to throw your watercolor paper away. And I thought, that's me.
I never got past that stage.
And so I attribute a lot of the technique to those two. They remain my idols for.
Well, you mastered it. Just anyway, they were gorgeous pieces. The ones I saw, and I think probably a few years later, and maybe it is when you first joined Archway. I think that you soon after had a show, and it was those large pieces, abstracts that were.
It was called City Sights, City Sounds.
Yes.
And there were 6 watercolors and 6 acrylics. The acrylics were abstracts, and that was the city sights. The watercolors were the realistic ones, and so that was city sounds. And that was just a way to for me to publicly transition from watercolor to acrylic. Also, not giving up either medium either style of presentation.
Well, the movement in them and the shapes that you sort of incorporated, and
they sort of started from a realistic representation style, and then so being an architect, I'm always looking at geometric shapes, and so for that series, I was looking at how to represent movement with shapes. So like the car wheels or bicycle wheels turning, doing round things, and the swish kind of lines to denote or to help tell speed, and so that's where it started with me for me with abstract, and since then I've gone more abstract and less realism. And I'm loving it.
I know. I can just tell the work is so impressive, and with that show, which I think blew a lot of people away too, because even though they loved your watercolors, that you could so successfully move into something that really captured people, I thought. And I think every one of those sold, and then some. I believe you had some commission work out of that too. People love them. I mean, they felt good. And it just sort of gets me to your background as an architect too. I wondered, when you were in school, were you thinking at some point of going into fine arts, or did you decide?
So I've never really given up art in my heart.
Yes.
So when it came to college application, it's like, I don't know what I wanted to do, and so I had my applications in hand, and I was just kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. I want to study, and I said, maybe I'll do art. And my mom said, you'll be a starving artist.
So that's what I was wondering.
So, and I have played the piano, from a young age, but I never felt really natural at it. But since I didn't know what to do, I said, well, maybe I'll do piano. My mom said, well, you're pretty good, but you're not.
Here's to moms for telling us.
And it was actually my younger sister who was hanging around me. She's 2.5 years younger than I am. Okay. And she said, well, I think I'll be going into construction or architecture or something like that when it's my time.
Oh,
so I thought, architecture, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I wrote it down.
It's like
that's how it happened.
And that makes sense, because it's sort of like, architecture is art on a larger scale in many ways.
Yeah, art came so natural. It's like it's easy, and it's just part of me.
Yeah,
and I happened to be very good with math in high school. When people thought I would be a mathematician, so I thought, well, okay. And back then I didn't know anything about architecture. I thought architecture was actually construction contractors.
Yeah. Oh,
I just didn't know. I went into it blind. But it's worked out really well. It's just like architecture and me are just
it works. Sunk with you
really, really well. That's part of my life. Is architecture. So the education of it taught me how to see the world in my surroundings in many different ways that I had not ever thought of before. Light and shadow forms, and how much our environment is just critical in our happiness and our feeling of well-being. And so art is more pure, intuitive, I think. And architecture, the architecture education at Rice anyway, is all from a rational point of view. You have to have a reason. You can't say, well, because I like throwing a curve here. Why does this curve work within this context? So I think since then, and since I've gone back and picked up art again, that's remained part of my approach to doing art.
That makes sense, and I'm delighted that it does, because it really has a nice effect.
Thank you.
But it's funny, because I've talked with other, we know a number of architects who are they're now practicing art, and many of them say similar things. They just incorporate that into their work, and you can see it. And it's a neat thing, because I was terrible at math, pretty much, so just gonna put that out there.
When I said I was pretty good at math, I was really good in geometry.
Oh, that's where I sucked.
I was terrible in calculus.
Oh, okay.
I was okay now.
Yeah. Algebra I could do okay.
So I could do all this math stuff, but I never really understood the theories.
I didn't want to get into the theorems of I just didn't want to do that.
I could do the technical stuff.
You could do the technical stuff, Well, that brings me to this one that I'm seeing on the wall, and you were talking about this, that I call them masks. I guess, is that what you
I call them as masks.
Because I felt like you can see a progression with your work. It's like you vote, because you're an architect, you think three-dimensionally, and you had to think of function, not just the beauty of it and how, but that it's functional, that it works, that space, So when you started doing these, we'll talk about what was behind this and what kind of inspired you.
Okay, so this is really kind of weird and funny.
Yeah,
that when I there was one time when we were ordering a lot of new computers.
Okay.
And we ended up with all these really thick, strong boxes, like shipping boxes.
Yeah, nice boxes.
And there was like tons of them. And I thought, I hate to throw these away. What can I do with them? And blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, well, I can build something with them, just something.
Yeah.
And so the idea sat in my head for probably a couple of years. Okay. I thought, well, naturally, I thought of making buildings or some kind of structural things. And because I was getting more and more into art, I wanted to pull away from the geometric rectangular shapes, and I wanted to do more that's non-traditional architectural shapes. So mass came to me because so that coincided with a show at Menil, and it was I think Northwestern Indian masks, Native American masks. That was a long time ago. And a friend of mine, we went to see the show, and she let me borrow one of her books, and it was about masks, Native American masks, and I just fell in love with them and started thinking about what masks mean, and like the history of it, and how it spans all cultures, all times, and how we all wear masks every time we go out. We brush our hair, we present something to the public, and how the public react to us because of the mask that we put on, and then we change from place to place and time to time, like we dress up for parties and all that. So all that stuff became really fascinating to me, and I started thinking about, well, does anybody not ever have a mask on and things like that? It just so that's how this whole mask thing developed.
Well, I know. I remember you talking about recycling, materials and I don't know if you did that at first altogether, or you brought in other things too. Was it all recycled?
You mean the materials? Yeah, no, it's not all recycled. I started out with all recycled materials, and then I started playing with colors and what papers can do. Like strips of paper and curling and folding, and so it just went from there.
Oh my gosh, they're just magical, and each one has a personality.
That's the fun thing.
That is amazing.
Like, I don't actually start out with a plan. I don't ever sketch anything beforehand. I might take the box and cut it out, or look at the size of material I have on hand and start folding it and things. And it just, they take on lives of their own.
Yes.
Like each one.
I love
just,
that. Oh, they do.
Just become. That would be like such a thing not to say my architecture studio. Well, the building just became.
That's what would make that difficult, I think. If you work that way, sort of, organically and without really, because a lot of artists say this. I've had a lot of artists, including myself, where I'll start out with something and I kind of have an idea, but I really don't know, and then it starts telling me,
right?
With
Isn't
architecture,
that fun?
That is fun. I love that.
It's like raising children.
Yes. All the things you thought you were going to do, and then you just couldn't even, like, the hell with that.
Right. They're going to do whatever they want to do.
They're going to do whatever they want, Oh, gosh, that's a whole other topic. Well, that, that takes me to what you were saying a little bit ago. Before we turned the camera on, you were talking about having fun with what you do. And well, that does masks look like you're fully engaged in that. But tell me what you think about this, because I feel like it's really important to engage in that feeling of fun as an artist.
Well, the saying the phrase "starting artist" is so true. So why am I doing art? Because I'm not making a living at it.
Yeah.
And I'm having fun with it. That's the not involved of it.
Yeah, it's true. It can't be the motivation, and it's so tough because you divide your time if you have to make a living somehow, which we all do. So pretty much, unless we have a sugar daddy out there.
I don't.
Oh,
let me know if there's one out there.
Yeah, we're all looking for that patron out there. So just recently, I know you're getting ready for an upcoming show like next month, right? I mean,
yes, it's in 8 or 9 days.
Oh my gosh, like that is amazing too. January's almost over.
Right. It's been a blast getting it ready. So.
Yes. Well, I'm just looking around here. You were posting some photos on social media of some of the things you're working on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? Is that clay? Is she? What amazing thing are you doing now?
So this is paper clay project, and so one of the things I had always wanted to do when I had time, when I retire or semi-retired or something, was getting back into pottery. I had a little bit of pottery in high school art class, and I loved it. So I thought, and I had been, busy getting ready for the show, and it wasn't until like Christmas time or a little after Christmas when I just I had most of my work for the show done already, except for a couple pieces. So I was a little burnt out doing those, and I thought I needed a little distraction. So started thinking about pottery again, but then I happened upon the idea of, I was searching online about pottery classes and kiln firing someplace in Houston that I could rent a space or a kiln or something. And I happened on this post on these Googling on these things about air dry clay, and I thought, what's that? I never thought of that.
Didn't even know.
And I wouldn't have to go rent a kiln, right?
That makes it easier.
So I started looking at it, and I thought, this is like fantastic what I was seeing online. So I went out and got some and started playing with it, and I just
loved it.
Loved it head over heels. Loving it. So it's a brand new material to me. It feels like I have a lot to learn, and I'm still playing around with realism versus abstract, or a combination of it, and what you can do with it, and what kind of armature to use, and how long it takes to dry. It takes forever to dry. So I've rigged up a little box with a hair dryer, like a little oven, not too hot, and with a kind of a convection oven thing, going.
Artist ingenuity here.
And the question right now I have of myself is whether or not I want to incorporate these in the show, because they are garden themed. Like the rest of that, that was my starting point. So I may not. I don't know. They have a very organic. The ones I'm seeing here are very much almost plant-like. So scary, I've been told.
Seed pods, and I know, scary, interesting. Teeth, maybe?
That's the question, right? It could be kind of scary.
But I didn't see, it's really nice. Oh my God. And I think that's one of the ones you were sort of posting your progress about.
So they started out with two very realistic agapanthus, I guess, flower things that were about to bloom. And so that's how this shape started, is that the agapanthus, I don't know what you call those. And with the seed pods sticking out. And some agapanthus have this shape with it. And so that's what these were. And after I made a ton of these and sort of tested them, and I thought, well, they look so realistic.
They're wonderful.
Reminded me of those fake grapes that you get. White Elephant gift exchange at Christmas.
No, they're far away from those.
I don't think so.
No, they.
So I moved more towards abstract stuff, and because of the material itself, I thought that it's
beautiful and
easy, both easy and makes sense to.
So it's not clay. It's not actually clay.
It's paper. It's like paper mache, but instead of strips of paper, it's all ground up paper pulp. It's fiber. You can add other materials as long as they're fiber into it, into the mix. And I'm still trying to learn how to make it.
I think it's fascinating. Well, I think it's just a testament to your need to explore new media and play, and that's the thing I always admired about you over and over again. And this is kind of jumping out of context, but you even got this lovely commission to do these paintings
for the city of Houston. It's the news. I guess it's about 6 months old now. It's a new Southwest police station in Southwest Houston. They have this. They built this brand new building, and it's LEED certified and everything. And it's located in an area where a few years ago you don't want to be walking there even in the daytime. But so the police station presence there was very important to the community and to revitalizing the park area and all that stuff. So I got these commissions of the I think I did 6 paintings. And they it was an RF. It was actually a request for acquisitions.
Yes.
And I didn't have anything sitting around.
This amazes me.
So I sent images of those, the abstract, the city sites series. And so they say, it was a unanimous vote to get me to do the commission. Wow. So I was like, really? Wow, really?
Yeah, I remember you talking to you back then, and you were so surprised. They chose me.
I mean, these RFPs, public projects are really hard to come by. They're kind of getting the lottery. It's like it's just you're shooting in the dark because because I have done a lot of these for architecture, and there just has to be a fit, and a lot of times you're not sure where they're coming from, so you're not quite sure where you ought to go, so you just throw it out there and see.
No, that's true. And there's so much. I mean, I don't know how many artists are going for some of these commission, or like you say, call for proposals, but there's a lot of artists in town. So
there's a competition is very fierce.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I've gone out for very many. Yeah. But
I know.
I haven't gotten that many.
I used to some, but no, anymore.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Yeah, it's like writing a grant or something. You have to. Yeah. So that was a nice surprise. Yeah. Really nice. The day I heard it was around 5:00, and I had completely forgotten about that call. And we were driving on 610, just getting into I-10. So that merge lane was always very scary. Oh gosh.
My husband was driving the car, and I kind of pulled my phone up because it dang, and I read, And I went, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. The guy's like, what? You know, just when we were doing that merge.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Here's an exciting moment.
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
No, it's really great to get that sort of, oh man, you know, it just sort of helps, I think, when you get these perks. That's not little either. To, you know.
Well, what's really funny is I've often felt like a fraud. Does that?
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, no, I get this. I get where this is coming from.
Yeah, so getting a commission like that, it's like a nod. It's like, okay, you're not a complete fraud.
That inner critic loves to whisper that into our ears, you know. But yeah, I get that, because even when I was younger, and I did a similar thing to you, I had to put my art kind of on the back burner when my kids were growing up, and then, you know, and then I just, when they were off, you know, I did, but even calling myself an artist felt
That's
wrong.
exactly. That's like my experience.
It's a weird hat to wear. It's like, okay, I'm a mom, I'm an artist, I'm a grandmother, I'm all these things. What is all that labeling about anyway?
I don't know, but I have kind of resisted calling myself an artist.
Yeah. But you are.
Thank you.
I'll say it. You are. And I don't know, maybe it's a general thing. Maybe, you know, human beings in general are meant to create, but yeah.
As often I just feel like I'm just doing what I love.
That's so important. It really is. That's something that really comes off too with your work, because you can't fake it. I mean, I've seen people do things that, and I've done it in myself too. I've done pieces that maybe you had a little success with that series, and so you continue it thinking, well, I need to sell, you know, and you get caught in that a little bit, and it
doesn't speak to you, and
it doesn't have that vitality.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I keep like flitting from thing to thing. For me.
Yeah. And it's a natural process. I don't know. You have a good follow through though too. I think it's tough. I find it tough sometimes. Like I'll get so far and then I start to get bored with it.
Me too.
Do you? I'm thinking, how are you ever going to be successful? Whatever that means, you know. But it doesn't matter, I guess. It's just what you're doing.
It doesn't matter to me anymore.
No.
It used to bother me. And sometimes, I admit, it still bothers me, because I have people saying, well, you know, if you do so many different kinds of things, if people want to buy a Sherry Tseng Hill, they look at what you're doing now, and it's not a Sherry Tseng Hill. It's something else. You know? So who are you? You know? So it still bothers me a little bit.
I know, and it is conflicting, but I definitely think it's kind of the true definition of an artist, because that need to explore and play and move on into different, you know, challenges. You know. So I think you do that very well.
Most of us, or at least many of us, you can see a progression. Like in music, it's called modulation. It's like you could still see a connection, a tie. It's just the next step.
Different feel for sure.
So those are, you know, like those are going to be in the show. So they're both, kind of organic, but because you know there is another garden, so it's about a lot of organic shapes, but as in nature, that you can see patterns.
Absolutely.
And so it's a combination of that, and I love science. I'm not a scientist, but I love science. I love science fiction. I love gardening, so this show is kind of a combination of all that stuff.
Oh yes. Well, I love that. Talk about the show coming up, by the way. So
it's called There's Another Garden. The title, I struggled with the title for a long time. I knew I wanted to do something about gardens, and because I'm a gardener and I have a certified
oh, are you?
I'm not certified, but my garden is a certified wildlife
Oh,
garden
wow.
architect.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, but that's easy. So,
Yeah.
so being an architect, you're always looking at the environment, both inside and out, right? And
yes.
so architects design the buildings, but it's very important what the building is surrounded
Absolutely.
by. And this is the first house that we've lived in. We've lived in only this is the second house we've lived in.
Okay.
We've lived here 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we this is the first house where we had a space for a garden. And actually when we bought it, there was a small pool. And we kept the pool for many years, and I finally wanted, I don't like the pool. It's bad for the environment. I want more permeable surfaces. I want more gardening space. So
you took it out.
Took it out, and so I mean afterwards I can show you my wildflower garden. That's a wildflower garden. And I grow some vegetables on my own and fruit trees, lots of fruit trees. But I'm not very good. So.
Oh no, I can't wait to see it.
And the title, so I struggled with the title for a long time. So There Is Another Garden is what I came up with after I found that Emily Dickinson had written a poem titled There Is Another Sky. It was a poem written to her brother, like begging him to come home because there's another sky, and under the sky there's the world is beautiful and all that stuff. So that's the inspiration for the title.
Yes, yeah.
And gardening is, again, it's very difficult because it's like raising children, right? Especially if you're an architect, you're always trying to line things up or have trees grow at the same way and then have the same height. Well, it just doesn't happen that way.
No.
And you kind of sometimes it's like give up, said, okay, just leave them be. They'll do what they want to do, like children.
Yes.
And you gotta be all right with it.
You have to be that's such a, I think it's the Japanese that talk about that, how important the lessons that are learned through gardening, about life.
And so this show is kind of a reflection, or it's common that gardens are like life. It's like us.
Yeah.
It's not always roses and beautiful things. There's a lot of survival hardship thing underneath, and so looking at weird things and not so pleasant things in the garden because it's wild, right? So it's the world, it's life, it's the food chain and all that stuff. So it is it's our world.
No, it's a great way to see it. I can't wait for this show. When is it?
It is February 1st is the opening, and Museum of Natural Science is partnering with me. So they are bringing some flying critters like moths and butterflies on opening night.
Oh wow! I'm excited.
I will have a work of art that I am donating to Museum of Fine Arts Copyright Butterfly Center, and it will be an auctioned piece.
Yes. Nice. Oh my God. And you're teaming up with another artist.
Yes. And he's my son.
Okay.
So he wouldn't call himself an artist either. He's actually a teacher.
Okay.
But he's a self-taught historian. He would not want me to say that. And one of the periods and culture that he really loves is Byzantine. The whole thing about Byzantine Empire and architecture and art and all that stuff. So he got into tile making because of the Byzantine history. The mosaics.
Oh my God.
So what he's using real mosaic glass tiles, and he cuts them to, he designs the frame and he
how wonderful.
So it's also a play on, because my materials are soft and like paper paint, and mosaic is kind of a hard material. So it's also playing that contrast.
It truly
in
is.
life.
The male and the female.
Male and female, yeah.
Very nice. Oh, that'll be a good show. And that's at Archway Gallery.
Yes.
February 1st. And it'll be definitely worth it. I'll
And
be there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
There's other things going on that day, but I will be there for that. Yeah. Oh gosh, this has been so wonderful. It's a great way to start out this new year, coming to see you.
And it helps me kind of verbalize what had been in my head, in my heart, and so now I know what to say at the open.
I think that's good. Well, this is the thing. I think that a lot of, maybe mostly artists watch this, but I think I gain so much from speaking with other artists, and some of the things you said today were so profound and relate to all of us, not as just artists, but I think as human beings. And so I find this really helpful, and so thank you. And I'm just going to say to the viewers, thanks for watching, and please do share this, like it if you do, and subscribe. When you subscribe, YouTube gets this out there to more viewers, so it's kind of important. So thanks so much, and I guess we'll say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.